The brutal truth that no productivity guru wants to tell you is that your lack of focus isn't a technical problem, it's an existential one. A planner or time blocking technique will fix the fundamental issue. Most people are chronically distracted because they're working on things they don't genuinely care about. You don't struggle to focus when you're engrossed in your favorite hobby or spending time with someone you love. The reason you can't concentrate on your work for more than 10 minutes without checking your phone isn't because you lack discipline. It's because deep down, you haven't found work worth suffering for. You're frantically busy precisely to avoid confronting this uncomfortable truth. The most successful people I've studied don't need productivity hacks because they've aligned their daily activities with their deepest values. If you required constant motivation, rewards, and technique just to stay focused, you're not working on the right things. Focus isn't something you do. It's something that happens when you're serving a purpose larger than your own comfort. The first time I truly understood the power of focus, I was watching a master woodworker split a 4-foot log with nothing but a small hatchet and unwavering concentration. With 3 precise, perfectly placed strikes, he accomplished what seemed impossible to everyone watching. Not through brute force, but through the deliberate allocation of focused energy. That's the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who merely dream about it. The masters don't necessarily work harder. They work with greater focus and execute with precision. The truth that changed my life forever is deceptively simple. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Every achievement, every failure, every relationship, every outcome begins first as a thought that you either nurture or dismiss. The quality of your focus determines the quality of your life. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to accomplish 5 times more than others, even though we all have the same 24 hours? The difference isn't time, it's focus. It's their ability to execute on what matters most and eliminate everything else. Today I want to challenge you to transform your relationship with focus and execution. Because when you master these twin powers, you'll unlock potential you didn't know you possessed. Let me ask you a question that might feel uncomfortable. What percentage of your day is spent in deep, productive focus on your most important goals? Not busy work, not responding to others, not putting out fires, but actual, deliberate progress on what truly matters to you. For most people, the honest answer is less than 20. Some studies suggest as low as 5. This means that 95 of your time might be spent on activities that don't move the needle on your most important goals. Now imagine what would happen if you could double that focus time, just double it. Not even achieve some superhuman level of productivity. What would change in your life if 40 of your workday was spent in deep, productive focus? Everything would change. Your income would change. Your health would change. Your relationships would change. Your sense of fulfillment would change. All because you reclaimed your focus and executed on what matters most. But here's what most people don't understand about focus. It's not just about concentration. It's about elimination. The word decide comes from Latin, and it literally means to cut off. When you decide to focus on something, you are automatically cutting off 1,000 other options. The most successful people I've met over decades of studying achievement aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the most focused. They've developed the discipline to say no to almost everything so they can say yes to the few things that truly matter. When I began studying the habits of high achievers around the world, I noticed a pattern so consistent. It couldn't be coincidence. These extraordinary performers all shared the ability to identify their most valuable activities, those twin of actions that produce 8 of their results. And then they organize their lives around protecting the time to perform those activities. Focus is the new currency of achievement. When, in our hyperconnected world of endless notifications, messages, and distractions, your ability to focus deeply is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. The person who can maintain sustained attention on a single important task now has a superpower. Think about your own life. When was the last time you spent 3 uninterrupted hours deeply focused on your most important project? For many people, the answer is, I can't remember. And that's precisely the problem. We've become a society of shallow workers, constantly switching between tasks, checking messages, responding to notifications, busy but not productive. Studies show that every time you switch tasks, it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back to the same level of focus you had before the interruption. If you're interrupted just 5 times in a workday, that's nearly 2 hours of recovery time lost forever. 2 hours that could have been spent moving the needle on what truly matters. The cost of this scattered focus extends beyond just time. It affects the quality of your thinking, the depth of your relationships, your creativity, your stress levels, and ultimately your results. Do you know what the top performers I've studied call most of what fills the average person's day? Fake work, activity without accomplishment, motion without progress. Real work, the kind that transforms your life and career, requires unbroken chains of focus followed by deliberate execution, not multitasking, not being busy, but being productive on the things that create your most desired outcomes. Let me share a story that illustrates this principle in action. A friend of mine was a struggling author for years. He had talent, ambition, and work ethic, but success eluded him. After several unsuccessful books, he decided to study the habits of best-selling authors. What he discovered transformed his career. The difference wasn't that best-selling authors worked more hours. In fact, many worked fewer hours than he did. The difference was in how they structured those hours. The top performers wrote in uninterrupted blocks of 3 to 4 hours, usually in the morning when their minds were freshest. They protected this time ferociously. No emails, no phone calls, no social media, just focused writing. Prine decided to implement this approach. Instead of working longer, he worked with greater focus. He identified his peak creative hours 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and made them sacred. During those hours, he did nothing but write. No checking email, no browsing the internet, just pure, focused creation. Within 6 months of implementing this practice, he completed a manuscript that would become his first bestseller. Same person, same talent, different results, all because he changed his relationship with focus and execution. This principle applies to every area of life, whether you're building a business, advancing your career, improving your health, or strengthening your relationships. Your results will improve dramatically when you apply sustained focus, followed by consistent execution. The reason most people fail to achieve their goals isn't lack of knowledge or lack of desire. It's lack of focused execution. They know what to do, they want to do it, but they allow their attention to be fragmented across too many competing priorities. This brings us to a critical insight. Clarity precedes mastery. Before you can focus effectively, you need absolute clarity on what deserves your focus. Without this clarity, you'll default to responding to whatever seems most urgent in the moment, rather than what's most important for your future. Here's a powerful exercise I want you to try. Take out a sheet of paper and write down the answer to this question. What are the 3 activities in your work that contribute the most value? Not what keeps you busiest, not what other people expect you to do, but what actually creates the most significant results. For a salesperson, it might be prospecting, presenting, and following up with qualified leads. For an executive, it might be setting strategic direction, developing key talent, and maintaining important relationships. For an entrepreneur, it might be innovation, recruitment of A players, and strategic partnerships. Whatever your field, there are a handful of high-value activities that drive the majority of your results. Identifying these activities with crystal clarity is the first step toward transformational focus. Now comes the harder questions. What percentage of your typical workday is currently devoted to these high-value activities? Be brutally honest with yourself. For most people, the answer is shocking. Many discover they're spending less than 20 of their time on the activities that create 80 of their value. The rest is consumed by low-value busy work, interruptions, and other people's priorities. This is why clarity is so essential. Without it, you'll inevitably gravitate toward activities that feel productive but don't actually move the needle on your most important goals. Once you have clarity on your high-value activities, the next step is to restructure your life to prioritize them. This requires something that makes many people uncomfortable: elimination. Successful people don't just focus on the right things. They eliminate everything else. They understand that saying yes to one thing means saying no to 1,000 others. And they've developed the courage to say no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great ones. This kind of ruthless prioritization isn't easy. It requires difficult choices. It means disappointing some people. It demands that you overcome the fear of missing out. But the alternative is a life of scattered focus and unrealized potential. Think about your own life again. What are you currently saying yes to that should be a no? What activities are consuming your time and energy without moving you meaningfully toward your most important goals? The most successful people I've studied are masters of elimination. They constantly ask themselves, is this the highest and best use of my time right now? If the answer is no, they either delegate it, defer it, or delete it from their lives entirely. But this brings us to another powerful truth. What you focus on expands. Whatever you give your attention to grows in your life. Focus on problems and you'll find more problems. Focus on opportunities and you'll see more opportunities. Focus on what you can control and your sphere of influence will expand. Focus on what you can't control and you'll feel increasingly powerless. This principle has profound implications for how you direct your mental energy. The average person spends far too much time focusing on what they don't want, what they're afraid of, and what they can't control. This focus not only drains their mental energy, but actually attracts more of what they don't want into their lives. The solution is to deliberately direct your focus toward your desired outcomes, your zone of control, and the specific actions that will move you forward. This shift in focus changes everything, not just your productivity, but your emotional state, your creativity, and ultimately your results. Let me share a powerful technique that has helped thousands transform their relationship with focus. It's called the 90-91 rule, and it works like this. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday focused on your number one priority. Just 90 minutes, no email, no phone calls, no meetings, no social media, just pure uninterrupted focus on your most important work. This simple practice, applied consistently, can completely transform your results. Why? Because it ensures that regardless of what else happens in your day, you've invested your freshest, most energetic hours in what matters most. Think about it. Even if the rest of your day gets derailed by emergencies, interruptions, and other people's priorities, you've already moved the needle on your most important goal. Over time, these focused 90-minute sessions compound into remarkable progress. I've seen people double their income, write books, launch successful businesses, and completely transform their careers using nothing but this simple practice. Same person, same skills, different focus, different results. But here's the catch. This practice requires preparation. You can't just wake up and expect to dive into 90 minutes of deep focus. You need to prepare your environment, your mind, and your plan in advance. First, prepare your environment. Eliminate potential distractions before they occur. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs on your computer. Put your phone in another room if necessary. Create a space that supports deep focus rather than undermining it. Second, prepare your mind. The night before, decide exactly what you'll work on during your focused time. Be specific. Don't just say, I'll work on the Johnson project. Say, I'll complete the first draft of the Johnson proposal introduction and outline the key benefits section. This clarity eliminates the decision fatigue that can consume valuable mental energy at the third, prepare your plan. Break down complex projects into specific, actionable steps that you can complete in a single focus session. This transforms overwhelming goals into manageable tasks, creating a sense of momentum that fuels further progress. When these three elements, environment, mind, and plan, align, you create the conditions for what psychologists call flow state, that magical condition where time seems to disappear and your productivity soars to 5 times your normal level. Now let's talk about the second half of our power pair, execution. Focus without execution is just contemplation. And while contemplation has its place, it doesn't create results. Results come from taking focused action consistently, persistently, and with a commitment to excellence. The gap between knowing and doing is often vast. Many people know exactly what they should do to improve their health, their finances, their relationships, or their careers, but knowing isn't enough. Execution is where transformation happens. So what prevents effective execution? In my experience, working with thousands of people across different fields, 3 major obstacles repeatedly emerge. The first is perfectionism, the misguided belief that something must be perfect before you can move forward. Perfectionism isn't about excellence. It's about fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of not measuring up. The antidote to perfectionism is the 85 rule. When something is 85 ready, release it, ship it, share it, take action on it, then improve it based on real-world feedback. This approach accelerates your progress exponentially while defeating the paralysis of perfectionism. The second obstacle is overwhelm, the feeling that a task or goal is too big, too complex, or too difficult to accomplish. Overwhelm leads to procrastination, which further increases stress and reduces your capacity for focused work. The solution is chunking, breaking down massive goals into small, manageable actions that you can complete in a single sitting. Don't focus on writing a book. Focus on writing a page. Don't focus on losing 50 pounds. Focus on making one healthy choice right now. Don't focus on building $1 million business. Focus on serving one customer exceptionally well today. Yeah, when you chunk down your biggest goals into small, daily actions, two things happen. The task becomes less intimidating, and you create a sense of momentum that propels you forward. The third obstacle is inconsistency. The tendency to work in bursts of intense activity followed by periods of inaction. This start-stop approach is far less effective than steady, consistent progress over time. The key to overcoming inconsistency is to establish habits and routines that put your critical activities on autopilot. When you don't have to decide whether to work on your important goals, when that decision has been made in advance and built into your daily routine, execution becomes almost effortless. This is why the most successful people I've studied are creatures of habit. They don't rely on motivation or willpower to execute on their priorities. They create systems that make execution inevitable. Consider the case of a CEO I worked with who transformed his company's performance through the power of focused execution. When I first met, his business was struggling, not because of market conditions or competition, but because of scattered focus and inconsistent execution. Together, we identified the 3 highest value activities that would move his business forward: strategic planning, key client relationships, and talent development. Then we restructured his entire calendar to prioritize these activities. Every Monday morning was now dedicated to strategic planning and review. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon was reserved for high-value client interactions. Wednesday mornings were committed to developing his leadership team. The rest of his schedule, the emails, the routine meetings, the administrative tasks, had to fit around these priorities, not the other way around. And he established a rule. These priority blocks were sacred. Nothing short of a genuine emergency could interrupt them. Within 6 months, his company's performance metrics improved dramatically. Revenue increased by 47, employee satisfaction scores rose by 36. Customer retention hit an all-time high, same company, same market conditions. Different focus, different execution, different results. You can apply the same principle to any area of your life or work. Identify your highest value activities, build your schedule around them, and protect that time with absolute discipline. This approach requires courage. It requires saying no to demands and opportunities that don't align with your highest priorities. It requires disappointing some people in the short term to deliver extraordinary value in the long term. But the alternative is far worse: a life of scattered focus, mediocre execution, and unrealized potential. When you combine laser-like focus with consistent execution, you create what I call the success spiral, a powerful upward trajectory where each small win creates momentum for the next larger achievement. The success spiral starts with a clear goal, broken down into specific actions. You focus intently on completing one action. That completion creates a small win, which releases dopamine in your brain, creating positive emotion and motivation. This increased motivation makes it easier to focus on the next action, which creates another win, releasing more dopamine, generating more positive emotion and motivation, making it even easier to take the next action. This virtuous cycle of focus, action, achievement, motivation, greater focus is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, not through quantum leaps, but through focused, consistent execution over time. Let's talk about another critical aspect of focused execution: measuring what matters. What gets measured gets improved, but many people measure the wrong things, focusing on activity metrics rather than results metrics. They track how many hours they work instead of what they accomplish. They count how many emails they send instead of the value they create. They measure busyness instead of effectiveness. True focus requires measuring what actually matters, the outcomes that define success in your role or goal. Identify the key performance indicators that directly correlate with your desired results and track them religiously. This measurement creates accountability and provides the feedback you need to continuously improve your execution. For a salesperson, this might mean tracking qualified leads, meaningful presentations, and closed deals, not just calls made or emails sent. For someone focused on health improvement, it might mean tracking energy levels, key biomarkers, and consistency of healthy behaviors, not just weight or workout time. For a business owner, it might mean measuring profit per client, referral rates, and customer satisfaction, not just total revenue or hours worked. When you measure what truly matters, you naturally focus your attention on the activities that drive those metrics, creating a virtuous cycle of improvement. Another powerful principle of focused execution is what I call bookending your day. How you start and end each day has a disproportionate impact on your focus, your productivity, and your results. The most successful people I've studied have deliberate morning routines that prepare their minds and bodies for peak performance. They don't immediately check emails or social media, which would put them in a reactive state. Instead, they engage in activities that center their minds, energize their bodies, and clarify their priorities. Similarly, they end each day with an evening routine that allows them to disconnect from work, rejuvenate their mental energy, and prepare for the next day. This might include reviewing accomplishments, planning tomorrow's priorities, and engaging in activities that promote restful sleep. These bookends create a container for focused execution, ensuring that you begin each day with clarity and end with a sense of completion, setting the stage for continuous progress toward your most important goals. Now let's address a reality we all face: distractions. In our hyperconnected world, distractions aren't just occasional interruptions. They're a constant presence, deliberately engineered to capture your attention and hold it hostage. Social media platforms, news sites, streaming services, and even productivity tools are designed by teams of psychologists and engineers whose sole purpose is to keep you engaged with their products for as long as possible. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a business model. Many of the world's most valuable companies generate revenue specifically by capturing and monetizing your attention. The more of your focus they control, the more profitable they become. Understanding this reality is the first step toward reclaiming your focus in a distraction-dominated world. You're fighting against sophisticated technologies designed to hijack your attention. This isn't a fair fight unless you develop equally sophisticated strategies to protect your focus. Here are 4 powerful strategies that have helped thousands of people reclaim their attention from the distraction economy. First, create environmental triggers that support focus rather than undermining it. Your physical environment profoundly influences your mental state. Designate specific spaces for deep work free from the usual distractions. Even if you can't create a separate room, you can create visual cues that signal focus time to both your brain and others around you. Second, use technology to fight technology. Apps that block distracting websites, notification managers that filter interruptions, and time tracking tools that increase your awareness can all turn technology from an enemy of focus into an ally. Third, implement the touch it once principle for incoming information. When you check an email, a message, or a request, make an immediate decision. Act on it, delegate it, defer it by scheduling a specific time to address it or delete it. This prevents the cognitive burden of repeatedly processing the same information. Fourth, practice interval working. Research shows that the human brain isn't designed for extended periods of continuous focus. Instead, it operates optimally in cycles of focused work followed by brief recovery periods. The ideal ratio appears to be 52 minutes of deep focus followed by 17 minutes of genuine recovery. This rhythm maximizes both your productivity during focus periods and your sustainability over the long run. By implementing these strategies, you create an oasis of focus in a desert of distraction. You accomplish in hours what takes others days, with a clarity that's becoming increasingly rare and valuable. The difference between those who achieve lasting success and those who fade often comes down to one critical factor: their response to obstacles. Everyone faces setbacks. The question isn't whether you'll face challenges, it's how you'll respond when they. The key is developing a high adversity quotient, your ability to persevere through challenges. People with a high AQ see obstacles as temporary, specific, and external. Those with a low AQ see obstacles as permanent, pervasive, and personal. When a high AQ person encounters a setback, they think, this is a temporary challenge. It affects this specific situation, not my entire life. While I didn't cause this problem, I can respond effectively. The good news, adversity quotient isn't fixed. It's a skill you can develop through obstacle reframing. When challenges arise, ask yourself, what opportunity might be hidden here? What might I learn? How might this actually help me achieve my larger goals? This isn't positive thinking or denial. It's finding advantage in adversity, opportunity in obstacles, and leverage in limitations. Consider the sales executive whose biggest client unexpectedly canceled their contract. Instead of panicking, he asked his team, what opportunity might be hidden in this challenge? This question shifted their focus from problem to potential solutions. They realized serving this large client had consumed resources that could be redirected toward cultivating multiple smaller clients, creating greater stability and growth. Within 6 months, they'd not only replaced the lost revenue, but increased their client base and improved profit margins. Same challenge, different focus, different outcome. The highest level of focus doesn't come from techniques alone. It comes from alignment, when your daily actions perfectly match your deepest values and most important goals. When you're doing work that matters, serving a purpose larger than yourself, and expressing your unique talents, focus becomes almost effortless. You're naturally drawn into engagement. That's why clarifying your core values and designing your life around them is perhaps the most powerful focus strategy. When your activities align with your deepest convictions about what matters, you create congruence that naturally enhances your ability to focus and execute. Ask yourself, are the activities filling your typical day aligned with what truly matters to you? Not what others expect, not what you feel obligated to do, but what genuinely matters at your core. If there's misalignment, no focus technique will fully solve your problem. The dissonance between what you're doing and what matters will continuously drain your mental energy. Focus isn't just mental, it's a full body experience. Your brain consumes approximately 20% of your body's energy despite being only 2 of your body weight. During deep focus, that consumption increases significantly. Your physical condition directly impacts your capacity for sustained attention. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, hydration, and stress management aren't just health concerns, they're focus fundamentals. The most focused people treat these physical factors as non-negotiable priorities, not because they're fitness enthusiasts, but because physical vitality forms the foundation for mental performance. Rest isn't a reward for hard work. It's a prerequisite. The most effective people recover with equal attention to how they work. They understand that the quality of their rest directly impacts the quality of their focus. As we conclude, remember us. Your ability to focus and execute isn't just about productivity. It's about living a life of purpose, impact, and fulfillment. In a world of endless distractions and competing priorities, your capacity to identify what truly matters and then execute with precision has become your most valuable asset. Identify your highest value activities. Create environments that support deep focus. Break down intimidating goals into daily actions. Measure what truly matters. Align your daily activities with your deepest values. Manage your energy with the same care as your time. And view obstacles as opportunities for, these aren't just strategies for achievement. They're pathways to a life of meaning and impact. Start today, not with sweeping changes, but with one small, significant action. Choose one high-value activity and give it your complete focus tomorrow, just 90 minutes. See what happens when you bring your full attention to what matters most. Remember, the quality of your focus determines the quality of your life. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. By mastering focus and execution, you don't just accomplish more, you become more. The choice is yours. Will you continue allowing your attention to be fragmented across countless distractions? Or will you reclaim your focus, direct it toward what truly matters, and execute with precision? The world needs what only you can create. Focus on that, execute on that, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never